President-elect Joe Biden's cabinet starting to get filled in. He will name Antony Blinken as Secretary of State, and we are expecting more picks coming in from the Biden cabinet beginning tomorrow. We're joined now by Yahoo Finance's Rick Newman and Yahoo Finance editor-in-chief Andy Serwer to discuss this. And Rick, you used to cover state, right? I know you covered the Pentagon. I think you covered state as well. We were joking in our meeting before. It's not really The Apprentice anymore. It's not like a bunch of celebrity CEOs. Like, no one's ever really heard of Antony Blinken, which I think is probably a good thing, right? That's kind of why people voted for Joe Biden.
Well, a lot of people who know Joe Biden know Antony Blinken, and he goes by Tony. He was Deputy Secretary of State under Obama, and he's been a longtime Biden aide. This appointment is no surprise at all. So this is basically a trusted Biden confidant going to Secretary of State. I think we're likely to see a return to Obama era policies at the State Department. So I think what Tony Blinken's job is going to be, we know Biden wants to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord. We know he wants to repair alliances in Europe and with Canada and other places where Trump has kind of tread all over those alliances. And then, of course, Iran, we're going to go back to the original Obama-Iran nuclear deal probably. And then China is going to be another one. I think that's one area where we're not going back to the way it was under Obama. That relationship has clearly changed. But I think the number one goal for Tony Blinken at the State Department is just to lower the temperature, calm things down, and repair alliances.
And when we come to the repairing alliances part of it, Andy Serwer, I know you pay a lot of attention in particular to U.S.-China relations. And the conventional wisdom is that the Biden administration is going to take a more multilateral approach when it comes to attacking China. Is that what you expect? And is that going to be effective?
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about that, Julie. I should note also, before we talk about China, there are two other names that have been mentioned as being tapped tomorrow or maybe even today. Jake Sullivan as National Security Advisor and Linda Thomas Greenfield as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. So you have those two as well. And it definitely matches up with what Rick was saying, that these are veterans of the Obama administration, known to insiders within the foreign policy mechanisms of the United States in terms of a continuum. And it's interesting that he's sort of going to do foreign policy first, too. And maybe that's intentional in terms of allaying fears of our allies or not, but there you have it anyway. With regard to China, no doubt, Julie, yes, multilateralism will be back. We'll be working with Japan, South Korea, Singapore, Vietnam, even all Australia, certainly allies in the Pacific when we're talking with China. And that will definitely change the equation, the calculus, because China does not like to be out there alone. Of course, it has its own alliances with Belt and Road in China 2025. Will we be back in the TPP? I mean, that's another question, too. So a lot of things to be answered. But China is, definitely looking at this as it's going to be a very different time for them going forward. The rivalry when it comes to technology, well, that's one of my favorite things to talk about also, Julie, will continue. But in terms of trade, soybeans and steel, it's sort of back to the old days there.
One of the interesting questions for Biden with regard to how is he going to be different from Trump is what is he going to do about the Trump tariffs on all those Chinese imports? And of course, there are Chinese tariffs on a bunch of U.S. imports to China at this point. Biden hasn't really said much about this. He hasn't shown his hand, but I think the expectation is those tariffs are going to remain in place, and that Biden will use those as leverage, perhaps remove them gradually at some point, but in exchange for something else. And we're waiting to see what that something else might be.
And Rick, this is the international sign for unwinding. And you're absolutely right. I think it's not going to be a bold move in January, but it is going to be something that's going to come off gradually because you want to maintain the leverage on China. And you're right, there's going to be bargaining, but I see those things going away over a period of months and probably even years.